Let's talk Tanya for the 8th day of the first Adar. Today we begin chapter 28. We talked about a variety of negative emotions up until this point. And in this chapter of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe is going to talk about the negative emotion of inauthenticity. When a person feels inauthentic, hypocritical, and the example that the Alter Rebbe will give is a person who is praying, and while they're praying, their head is Grand Central Station. They can't maintain their focus, and their mind is being invaded at every moment by various foreign thoughts. And that leads a person to think, so who am I fooling? What's the point? I'm here pretending to be this holy person, this spiritual person. I'm praying, but I'm not so holy. I'm not so spiritual. And that can put a person into a negative space. Person feels like a hypocrite. And the problem over here is that, our goal is simcha, our goal is positive emotions. And one of the sources of our positive emotions is when we do things right, when we do mitzvahs, when we study Torah. But when a person feels hypocritical, the problem is that not only are you not getting the necessary positive emotions from the things that you're doing, the positive things that you're doing, but the contrary, it can make you fall into a space of negative emotions. So how is one to deal with this? So the first thing the Alter Rebbe says is, practically speaking, keep on keeping on. Disregard all those thoughts, focus on your davening, look into your siddur, look into your prayer book, pay attention to the next word, concentrate on the next thing, do not grapple with, do not fight, do not give credence to these foreign thoughts. And why shouldn't it bother you? Why shouldn't you feel that you're a hypocrite? So Alter Rebbe gives two ideas. The first idea is somewhat of a simple idea. You have to remember, you have a godly soul, you have an animal soul. When you're davening, the godly soul is flexing its muscles. Now, whenever you have a fight, and when one side flexes its muscles, automatically the other side responds in the same way because it feels threatened. So the fact that right now your animal soul is throwing these thoughts into your head is actually a sign that your davening is a good davening, which is why the animal soul is feeling threatened. Don't think that your davening, there's anything wrong with it because you have these thoughts. To the contrary, take it as a sign that you're doing a good job. That's number one. Then the Alter Rebbe says, based on the same idea, we could take this even deeper. The whole idea of hypocritical and feeling hypocritical and inauthenticity is when, I'm torn in two directions. And am I a holy person? Am I an unholy person? But what if you're both? What if you take Tanya to heart and the most basic idea in Tanya, which is the idea that we are not one identity, but we have two identities. You have a godly soul, you have an animal soul. Your davening is an expression of your godly soul. Purely, authentically, the godly soul. There is nothing wrong with the davening. Now, these negative thoughts, they are an expression of the animal soul. Also, they're authentic. But the question is, who are you identifying with right now? And the Alter Rebbe gives an amazing analogy. He says, imagine that you're on a train, you're on a subway, and there is a non-Jew, an anti-Semite standing next to you, and you're trying to daven, you're trying to pray, and he's standing and screaming at you, and he's trying to disturb you. Okay, obviously you'll try to move to the next car, but if that's not an option, what are you going to do? So you focus on your davening, you concentrate to the point that you don't hear the guy. Now think for a second. Are you going to stop and say to yourself, oh, my davening must be worthless because this guy is screaming at me? No. That's not a reflection on your davening, that's a reflection on him. Well, you have to understand, you have an anti-Semite inside you. And that anti-Semite is trying to disturb your davening. That's not a reflection on your davening, it's a reflection on the anti-Semite. Keep on davening, know you're doing an amazing job, it's 100% authentic, and don't be bothered by it. We can further extend the idea on this chapter. And it's not only about disturbing thoughts during davening, it's not only about disturbing thoughts. In general, we're conflicted, and sometimes we can think that we're hypocrites. I davened this morning, and I had an unbelievable davening. And then afterwards, 3 hours later, I went and I did something inappropriate. Does that mean that my davening wasn't good? Does that invalidate my davening? No, the same principle, the same idea applies. Your davening was a 100% pure, authentic expression of your godly soul. Then afterwards, your animal soul got control. Well, that's the problem. The problem isn't that your davening wasn't good. Your davening was amazing. The problem is that you allowed your animal soul to take control. Don't allow that again. But in no way is that a reflection on your davening, and it doesn't make you a hypocrite in any which way. With this, we've concluded the 3 chapters in Tanya which discuss how to deal with negative emotions. Tomorrow we start chapter 29, and here we start with a whole new idea, and that is what if someone is not suffering from negative emotions, but from numbness and apathy? How do we deal with that? We'll find that out, God willing, starting with tomorrow's Let's Talk Tanya.